I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
All we do is win, 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 no matter what. That's right, the win reunion we want, but the one we deserve. We got that this week on CW Supergirl Season 5, Episode 11, Back from the Future, Part 1. We're going to be breaking it down, and by we, I mean the party of three, even though there's only two of us. Ryan's in the booth. I'm here talking, hosting, paneling, all things Supergirl. I apologize for not having an episode last week as it came out. However, we were on Pacific Standard Time, and unfortunately, with the death of Kobe Bryant and the people on the helicopter, we were unable to watch the episode. Rest in peace, Kobe and his family. No matter how you think of it, that was a tragedy. We do have to acknowledge that. We will be talking CW's Supergirl Season 5, Episode 11, Back from the Future, Part 1. And at least in good news, looking at it now, we get Winn back. And it's not the Winn we think, because when Brainy breaks out the toy maker, it looks suspiciously like Winn. We're going to talk about all that and more. I, of course, am Tehran. If you don't know me, you don't know Supergirl. Let's talk about it like that. I'm going to break it down as much. Brainy breaks out Toymaker. Breakup feast. We get that breakup. Lena and Andrea Rojas make up, or do they? Toyman wants followers. Nia's dream means more than Nia knows. Wins heart to heart with basically everyone. Toyman is eternal. Brainy is becoming the bad guy. Toyman lives, and so much more. We also have some news and gossip, and our special segment, Supergirl, where we take a true life Supergirl and talk about them. This week's Supergirl is going to be none other than Laura Brown. If you're not familiar with her, she's the editor-in-chief of InStyle magazine and the executive director of Harper's Bazaar, and she is a Supergirl through and through. Of course, we have some predictions, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Let's get into CW Supergirl Season 5, Episode 11, Back from the Future, Part 1. Overall thoughts. This episode was fun. It was cool. Of course, I've always been a Winn fan. We're going to talk a lot about Winn because we got him in Season 1 and Season 2. And then, of course, we lost him to the Legionnaire. So there he's been gone. We get this reunion all because of this new unified universe where everyone's kind of living in one particular plane of existence, which is very still confusing to me. I understand the principles and the context that they're using, but let's be very honest. It's actually a confusing way to be, in how some people know, some people don't, some people have to get caught up to speed, all these things. Yes, I do understand, because we all watched Crisis. We all know how that worked out. However, it doesn't play out as fluid as I would like it to. It's still all very new, and getting two Winn Schotts, one who's in the future where he's supposed to be, and this is actually his universe, and then one who comes from a different universe comes here and becomes Toymaker's son and is a criminal. These kind of things, I remember it playing out similarly in Flash, because Flash dealt a lot more with the different universes, but they did an excellent job because it was a multiverse. However, with the one singularity, it does actually become quite a ride to keep up with who's who, what's what, who knows what, where what goes and what not. So even that sentence was as confusing and yet less confusing than the way it plays out. However, putting that aside, we do get Winn, we do get the toy maker, we do get this conflict, we do get this logical, darker Brainy, who I've always been a fan of when Brainy goes rogue. We've seen that before in Season 3. So now we get this dark rogue Brainy who's breaking out criminals in the hopes of a greater good. But at least we see that it's not just an evil Brainy, that this is a super logical Brainy, and that because the other Brainy from last week's episode tells him, hey, you need to help Lex with Leviathan. I don't know if there's a hidden agenda there yet, but the way that it all plays out is Leviathan is much bigger. We need to help Lex. It has to be in secret, whatever that reason is. And with Winn Schott knowing a lot of things from the future, and I'm going to talk about this at the end, with Winn knowing what's happening and at the end still maintaining that friendship with Brainy and keeping a secret despite all the things that he put Winn through, That might say something, especially since Winn has a aforementioned knowledge of the future, as that is where he stays. So, fun episode, good conflict, get those tigers, get Nia whipping her powers. That's going to be a boost. Hopefully we get Nia with way more powers and being able to understand how to express them and utilize them a lot better. And also another thing that was key and elemental in this episode is getting the Lena who still is a very good person who wants to do the right thing. If you notice, the first thing she says to Brainy, promise me no one will get hurt. So we see that Lena actually does care for the greater good of humanity, even though she is teamed up with her brother Lex, who we know is the arch villain of arch villains. That is the thing. Breaking it down with Brainy breaking out the toy maker, who suspiciously looks a lot like Winn. When we saw Winn in the preview, we realized that he was the toy maker somehow. We saw the toy make toys, but we didn't know that Winn was going to be the toy maker at all, because why would that? Why would Winn Schott all of a sudden become a toy maker? Yes, we know Winn Schott is brilliant. Yes, we know Winn Schott is extremely good with technology. I mean, this is the person that designed the Supergirl suit. This is the person that came up with all the technological advances for the Guardian. This is the person who has a crush on, who had the biggest crush in the world on Kara and never actually got to watch it manifest. So we get it. We love Winn. But this Winn is a criminal. And even though we don't actually get a true name, I'm going to call him Toy Maker Winn. So simply because I want to differentiate between this Winn and our Winn. And I'm calling Winn Schott from the future Legion's Winn our Winn. That's the one we want. So Brainy breaks out Toy Maker with the bus thing. Love the action sequence. Love the dark Brainy on the motorcycle bike with the hair. We are liking this look. This is the way that Brainy's supposed to be portrayed, as the super logical. And when it seems to become extremely logical, then all of a sudden, void of emotion, all of a sudden you tend to do things that may not seem right, because logic opens up a door to the ends justify the means, that entire gray area. And we see that Brainy is becoming the master at that. At least that's what we think. At the end, we see that Brainy is emotional, that he has that attachment to Nia, even though we saw that breakup, that he's trying to protect her in some way, that keeping the secret is actually destroying him, that even without the personality inhibitors, Brainy does have a personality. These are things that are bigger than what we have seen thus far of Brainy. These are giving us true and in-depth insights into his character, a true character, a character that I was extremely wary of going into this, because they portrayed this dark, bleak, almost enemy, criminal, secretive Brainy, where we thought, uh-oh, villain. No. Very much still the good person, good guy, begging Schott for forgiveness, begging Winn for forgiveness in his own way, simply because he feels so horrible. Tears. We saw Brainy cry. Something that is extremely unexpected. So this is not the Brainy that became super logical and was transporting people to a different dimension. That is not the same Brainy. So at least we have that much clear. Here, we get the toy maker who looks like Winn, causing that Winn problem, because now Winn is wanted by the future police because of his DNA being left on an attack that took place where he kills Chester Dunholtz. Thankfully, our Winn comes to the rescue, even though I thought Kara should be fast enough as Supergirl to catch and stop that bullet when Toy Maker Winn shoots Charles Dunholtz, or at least at him. We get our Legion plane that we're so familiar with coming in, saving the day, and Winn saying, this guy, did you see the shooter? And we realize that they're the same person somehow. Genetically, they're the same. And this opens the concept of what it is like to have everyone all in the same unified singularity, unified universe. So at least now we know that this kind of confusion can happen. Somehow we need to tell people, because this can cause a nightmare for, this is one particular instance and this happens to be a hero. What if this happens for a regular person? What if there's another Tehran right now robbing a bank? I've always been afraid that someone would wear a bathrobe and put a Tehran hat who looks kind of like me, Rob Bank, and then I'd go down for it. Well, what if it is me from a different dimension, universe, that is just not me and then does it? What is my defense against that? Because we do realize that there are now multiples of different people. We have seen them before, and no one is none the wiser. So we need to look out for how they're going to play this. It makes for a lot of difficult script technique and technicalities. You have to be aware, especially when you start doing time travel. Time travel becomes a loop, becomes particular. There's a lot of things going. That's why string theory is its own form of microphysics, is simply because the concept of time is so difficult for the average person to grasp. I'm hoping that they do us justice when it comes to script writing. Getting this win and that win, getting them confused. If the future police is getting them confused, what are we going to do? What are we, the average audience member, going to do when we're watching this future win take place? And the DNA being exactly the same. All these things play parts into this bigger picture. At least we get this. Honestly, this Winn reunion is amazing, right? So we get Winn. He knows these characters, but he doesn't know what's going on until John Jones catches him up. John Jones mind melds him, and Winn is just distraught. He keeps throwing up at the mention of different tidbits of information that he's not aware of. His future seems to be intact. He's actually married. He actually has a child. And Ayla and Mary, his wife and daughter, are very important to him. That's actually what his motivation is for coming back and saving these people, saving Charles Chester Dunholtz, and making his appearance and coming back in time to save his family, to keep his family intact, something he's willing to do anything for. And that's something we should be aware of, because they kept mentioning that. I think that's a foreshadow. I'll bring that up in predictions. Now, on this love fest of Brainy, we do get that breakup feast where Nia and the friends, they get together. They become, the eat, pray, love crew. They get together, and the girls are empowering Nia. Nia is sad, but understands that Brainy needs his space, but doesn't know why. And I would like for Brainy to learn from past mistakes and learn that communication is everything. If he tells the team what's going on, if he tells them about the Lex situation, if he tells Nia, I'm doing this to protect you, why are we still keeping secrets, especially since secrets have consistently been, each and every season, the downfall of the team? Let's not keep secrets from one another. We have seen them consistently fail. We tried to keep secrets from Alex. We tried to keep secret from Nia. We tried to keep secrets from Nia's mom. I mean, just every little thing, from James, from Kara, from, obviously the biggest secret is Kara not telling Lena, and let's see where that has led. So let's make sure we have a conversation. Let's have open conversation. The team will always be there for you. Did you not see how game night went, bro? So I just think that if we had this team, it would be better off, that a lot of these things, and that Nia Nall, as you see, as she's dealing with her problems, that team comes together. And speaking of teams, I want to thank my team, and that's all of you. This is our team. We are the AfterBuzz crew. And you at home are, if not as much, more so a part of this panel than all of us here in studio. Love your comments, love your theories, love the information that you give us. Even when it seems you're quote unquote correcting us, you're actually helping us have a better panel. That's why we have this, to lead these discussions. We start the conversation, you guys finish it. So thank you so much. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, give us that 5 stars we so greatly deserve. We appreciate you. Thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. Lena and Andrea Rojas make up. Now, Lex sends Lena to go in. Lena and Andrea are not on the best of terms on any universe. Lena goes in and decides to break it in for Andrea, saying, I know about Leviathan. But if you see, Andrea wants her friend back. She's so quick to give in and say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you know, because now I don't have to keep, oh, look at this, another secret. I don't have to keep a secret from you about Leviathan and what they made me do and how they were making me act. And I just want to be friends with you. We are so close. Let's be close again. And I don't know if Lena's doing this simply for Lex's purview, or if this is actually something that Lena wants. Lena is it must be very lonely for Lena right now. She's lost Kara, her only friend. She doesn't really trust Lex. Sure, Lex is her brother, but it's Lex Luthor. I mean, this is a guy she killed. She killed Lex, or at least she thought she had, right? So it's got to be difficult for Lena. So having Andrea back could be a team up that we get to see more of, especially with Andrea working with Obsidian Prime and Lena trying to work more with Q-Waves, which this universe seems not to have any until, of course, Lex comes up with the solution from the ship in the future, gets the cube full of Q-Waves. That is a scary thought of how he's going to utilize, use, and manipulate that. On this sidetrack, we bring Toyman back because we need Winn Schott from the future in order to use the plane, in order to get more information on the Leviathan, in order to get this photograph that we recognize the person from. I mean, Lex is brilliant. Sure, it's diabolical, but it's brilliant to think of all this, to bring Brainy in, to know that the Brainy running the calculations, no one's going to get hurt, but yet it goes awry because we cannot, as Brainy states, we cannot account for Lex. This is chaos incarnate. This is a person whose logic is, I would say that Lex Luthor is more intelligent than Brainy. I know that's a tough thing to say. He's not 10th level intellect, but is he not? I mean, if you notice, just Lex is leading the way. Brainy is always a step or two or even three behind, let alone everyone else. Lex is the ever master manipulator of all things and always knows how to get his way. The only question is, what is his true agenda? Because we still don't know it yet. Is it to protect or is it to destroy? Sure, we know on this universe, Lex Luthor is a hero, but our Lex Luthor, who we know, is not. And that's the person taking up this role. So it's interesting to see how it plays out. But not the only arch villain here. Toyman is back. Let's talk of Toyman as if it's just Toyman. Toyman, of course, in Toyman fashion, wants to redeem his father. We've seen different incarnations of Toyman, of course. Toyman refers to 3 different people, but now we've added some more. So we get this Toyman, and Toyman just wants followers, wants revenge for the patents, wants followers in order to do a dastardly deed. Hits 1 million followers because of trolls, which we're all so familiar with. Trolls get them to 1 million followers. They know that getting them to 1 million followers means something disastrous is going to happen. And yet we see it happen, which lets us know that on this universe, everyone is not quote unquote good. That's something that we've been toying with because this universe seems to be a lot more simple than the universe that we're used to. However, we see that everyone isn't good. And that's how Toyman's able to get 1 million followers. I think that's what that was supposed to mean to us, to let us know that everything in this world is very much what we're kind of used to in a lot of ways. But if you remember, we always get, even our enemies and our villains in the past as we're in this universe have somehow meant well. Even the 3 witches, they wanted something good and they ended up doing good. So I was questioning if everyone in this universe is the good version of themselves, and we see that they're definitely not. We get the 1 million followers. We get the massive explosion. And yet afterwards, where we're like, Toyman is done. We've saved the day. Yet Toyman has somehow, in a fashion, taken his essence, his soul, and his intellect and placed it, at least as we see, in some form of hardware, possibly in the social sphere, in the stratosphere altogether, just online, an online presence. So that's why I'm assuming this is a part 1. We're going to get a second part to the story because Toyman really is eternal, something that he says his father was not even able to do, is live forever. So we get this Toyman, and to counteract Toyman, Brainy is actually acting extremely suspicious. I mean, every single time they say something, Brainy's the guy lurking with the hoodie on. Oh, I'll do it. No, you don't do it. I'll do it. So Brainy's just always somber. He's always in this. There should be red flags just being raised over and over again. Hey, what's Brainy doing? What's Brainy thinking of? And the biggest red flag was Nia's dream. Nia has a dream that Brainy turns into this white tiger. I thought for for a second that we might get some type of Titans Doom Patrol, something of that nature, simply because that white tiger, of course, looks like a metamorph. It looks like it looks like it's gonna play into Beast Boy somehow, but it's not. I thought that could have been possibly, but it wasn't. It was the white tiger, of course, from the place that they're doing that Andrea's doing her speech on Obsidian Prime. But what we get with the white tiger is that somehow Wild Tiger, something Nia's called Brainy, something's not right there. There's got to be more to that dream. There's got to be like, Brainy is not who we think he is. There's something more. We need to figure that out. But of course, we see that Toyman is at Andrea's. He's dressed as the white tiger mascot at the university. And then the white tigers that are robotic, the toy white tigers, come out, and they're very difficult. Even Supergirl has a hard time using her beams or lifting them or doing anything with them. And we get this revelation of Nia's powers by our Winn, who shows Nia who she truly is and can be, as he is best friends with Nia's great, I don't know how many greats, granddaughter. So they're best friends. He's utilizing dream energy, and she sees how he's doing it. He has to enhance himself simply because he is the only human member of the Legion. So here we get Winn showing them how it's done, what's done with it, and Winn is actually this angel in some ways, because he consistently has a heart-to-heart with each and every person, even has a heart-to-heart with the Toyman. First, he has a heart-to-heart with Kara. He misses her. He misses them so much. Then we see that heart-to-heart with Nia when she's out on the balcony. We see this heart-to-heart. We see that heart-to-heart when she explains that your powers are so much more. A heart-to-heart with Brainy, where he forgives Brainy for putting him and his family in danger simply because he understands that Brainy still is good and has good and is willing to keep his secret. We have the heart-to-heart with the toy maker, where still Winn is trying to save the toy maker. He doesn't want him to blow the building up, but not even for himself to die. So we get that heart-to-heart that goes on. And those heart-to-hearts are just insights into each and every one of these characters' psyches. So it's great to see this inspiration building. And Winn is basically just same old Winn, just a more confident, better version of himself. But same old Winn. Winn fits right back in. It's actually just so compelling to watch how he brings everyone together in his own way. I hope that by keeping Brainy's secret, he's not doing everyone a disservice. Because Brainy is even afraid that he's becoming the bad guy. And that's something that means, for the most part, that you're not the bad guy. When you're afraid of becoming the bad guy, if you're tearing up thinking you're becoming the bad guy, that's got to be more. We all end with the concept of, what do we think Lex is up to? What is Lex's real plan? We know who this Lex is. I would love to have one of those toy Lexes, by the way. We know who this Lex is, but do we really? And so much to come. Let's get into some news and predictions, shall we?
AfterBuzz TV News.
Well, I mean, news and gossip. News and predictions. I'm jumping ahead with that. The prediction part, exactly. With Supergirl, I don't know if you've all been following. If you do follow everyone's Instagram, you will see that a lot of good Instagram things are coming from each and every one from Supergirl. And I mean that because Maria Menounos has been posting a lot of good. As a Supergirl fan, we're getting a lot of insights on everyone's separate Instagram accounts, and you might want to check out Melissa's. You're going to want to see Katie McGrath's, and of course Jessie Rath, because they are actually showing tidbits of their own personal lives. But if you get to the one right before that, Ryan, we see that they're posting, but if you read their comments and people's comments, you will get a lot of tidbits and knowledge of what's going to happen going on, especially since we're getting a Superman spin-off show. So you're going to want to read up on comments. This is, of course, Melissa living her best life with Dax. Yes, she's married to one of the cast members we loved. So we get to see Melissa living her best life, but when they start showing their Supergirl stuff, if you read her comments and then people's comments below, you're going to get a lot of tidbit of information. So stick to making sure you check out each and every one of their Instagrams. Now let's get our special segment, Supergirls. That's right. As we highlight a Supergirl in the world, this week we're going to highlight Laura Brown, the editor-in-chief of InStyle magazine, very prestigious, and of course the former executive director of Harper's Bazaar magazine. Here, Laura herself has taken to the cause of feminism, empowering women, finding women who are Supergirls, and making sure that they are found in print. And that's why it's so important. She actually recently just gave an amazing interview that you can check out, where she says why it's so important. Brown herself was born in Australia. She's an only child. She went to Charles Sturt University in Australia, where she received her Bachelor of Arts in Arts and Communications. So she wanted to get into media for a long time. That's where she wanted to go. She started off with this Australian magazine, Mode, where she actually took it in a direction where she wanted to go with making it about, sure, it's about fashion, but it's a lot about empowering and women empowerment on its own. And that's why it's so important. People just think, oh, this stuff is fashion stuff, but it's not. And so she gets into InStyle and used Emily Ratajkowski, who's one of our favorites, as her first model. And she goes from there. And it's so good to see that she's responsible for the first man being on the cover of InStyle when she had Stephen Colbert in 2017. And this is another step, honestly, for the empowerment movement, right? She's been marked by Oprah. Everyone says that they love what she's doing. So you might want to check her out, notice a lot more about her, and see who she is. And of course, one of my favorite things is she's in a relationship with a stand-up comedian. So, you know, us comedians stick together. So make sure you learn more about Laura Brown and what she's doing. Thank you, Laura Brown, for being a Supergirl. Let's get into some predictions. So
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
this episode was called Back from the Future, Part 1. So clearly we're going to get a Back from the Future, Part 2. Clearly they used that. They could not trademark Back to the Future. So Back from the Future, clever play because of Winn Schott. Clearly there's a Part 2. What does that mean? That means that all of this is not done. That cube means a lot more. That Winn's part, I don't think, is done. Of course, not only as Toymaker, but as Winn Schott himself, because we do know that Winn Schott has the ability to come back. And we also might get a legion bit of crossover even more than we have now. I think that we might even get another character, especially since we have Nia and Winn accidentally giving them some information about the future. Maybe we get a crossover. Maybe we get some people that are much needed. We also see this blossoming relationship with Kara and Mike. Like, there's way more going on there. We see that they're getting close, talking. Kara says, let's team up. They're standing close in that awkward moment. We see a smile. Even Alex notices it when they're playing game night. Mike to the rescue, stops the Jingo Tower from falling over for Kara. But then Kara's like, oh, this is fun. Let's take a shot. Well, that's definitely a romance. I've been shipping that since last season. And I'm going into this season saying we finally get that. We finally get that to play out. We also probably are going to see they've been underutilizing Alex, and I think that we're gonna get the relationship back with Alex, and James's sister is gonna come in, and we haven't seen them play much together. That has to be something more to it. We can't just let that drop. And Nia, and of course, I think relationships are gonna be on the mind since we don't get another episode until Valentine's Day-ish, like around the Valentine's Day time. So we get it. The next episode we're getting is going to be February 16th. So I think that the relationships are going to be a big part of that episode. So Brainy and Nia, Like, that can't be over. We were shipping them the most. So that being over, and especially since we've seen Brainy actually cares more for Nia, we thought it was dead and he was being cold, but we see he's playing cold and there's a huge difference. So I say we look more to that. Let's find out. We'll see if the crystal ball was right. Until then, let me tell you where you can find me if I want to be found, which I do, at I Am Tehran all across the board, IAMTEHRAN. And of course, hosting and paneling on a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows, because all of your favorite TV shows are my favorite TV shows too, especially Supergirl. Ryan, where can people find you?
You can find me at Ryan Nilsson on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow Tehran at Supergirl Tehran on Twitter.
That's right. Supergirl Tehran is actually not me, but it is a Supergirl Tehran account created by one of my super fans, a person who's a super fan, like a stalker. It's actually just Ryan. So make sure you talk to us. Let us know what you're thinking. Come back. We will be talking more Supergirl. And when it comes back out, look for us February 16th. Until then, up, and away.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.